Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Bio Inc. Redemption in our Lethal Difficulty Guide series. We will continue our death campaign by going to the morgue and playing Young and Healthy. Young and in perfect health. This scenario basically screws you over by locking out most of the risk factors. You can still kill your patient without having any risk factors. It's just a little bit tougher. It also means that everything's going to be a little bit more expensive, which is annoying. We're going to go for the emergency bonus because I think we can still get into that emergency room pretty well. We're going to go for the collateral damage because you all know that I love it. Risk factors, we could go for a few, but I think I'll just go ahead and pick up the random risks because most risk factors are locked out, but a couple are still available, including, let's say, the STD roulette. If we can get that one for free, there's an opportunity to just do lots of extra damage to the patient, really for no cost to me. Recovery, we will go for the poor treatments, environment, quick collapse, because really, what else would you bother getting? Yep, right here. Some risk factors are not available. When they say some, they mean the vast majority. Vast majority. All right. I think the only exceptions would be hereditary, yes, malnutrition, workaholic, and unlucky. So it's a chance we just evolve a random disease for free, which is okay, but it also means that the patient might go to the doctor earlier than we wanted to. So this is kind of betraying me a little bit like the mutation chance in Plague Inc. Would have loved to have grabbed an Nymphomania. That can be pretty darn useful. It does a lot of extra damage. And as far as recovery, we may want to go for nosocomophobia in order to make the victim less likely to go to the doctor. The doctor is so young and so healthy that they don't even bother going to doctors. Also, they don't bother having insurance, because why would you? I don't know, when you're young and healthy. I didn't have insurance for a long time. If it weren't for the fact that it's produced by my work, I probably wouldn't, except, you know, Obamacare kind of forces me to, but yeah, I know. Young and healthy people, why would you have your health insurance set for, like, catastrophic? I'm just saying. Anyway. Yeah, so we can make her less likely to go to the doctor. In fact, maybe that's a backstory right there. The patient is less likely to go to the doctor because she's afraid, and that's why she lives such a healthy lifestyle, so she doesn't have to go to the doctor later. That said, she is now a nymphomaniac. If we go for the risk factors, you do have the ability of getting an extra 2 points every 15 days, which means it will pay for itself within 30 days, which of course the scenario is going to last that long. So it is always a good thing to pick up. It's one of the other, one of the other reasons you do want to pick up the 2 random risk factors, because you can get this a little bit faster. I'm sorry, 45 days. I forgot that it takes 5 points in order to get an upgrade, not 4 like it would have been in the life campaign. Time to have some unprotected stuff. Yay. Let's go for the roulette. What do we get? It is gonna be warts. One of the least useful. I would have preferred to give her AIDS, which is a terrible thing to say, and out of context, some people might get upset. In fact, there's a very high chance that I'm going to get demonetized for all of this. But oh well. I mean, really, what am I going to do about it? All right, so do we want to go for things like malnutrition and stuff? We could, and the reason malnutrition is still nice to me is because it does reduce costs, and that adds up pretty nicely. We don't have a lot of risk factors working to our advantage, but we could at least have a few. So let's go for malnutrition. Dehydration would make the renal system very cheap. Now, the renal system is weird in the death campaign because there's only 2 main trees that you can infect, and if the AI does catch you, then obviously you've locked yourself out of a lot of this stuff. So it's a little bit risky to take up the renal tree. The only reason you might do so is because there are a lot of risk factors making it cheaper. So even though there's a high chance that you're going to get cut off by the AI, it also is pretty easy to progress down that tree very rapidly. That's the only reason you would do that. In fact, there are some people who have strategies that entirely revolve around getting the risk factors that affect the renal system. And in fact, we're going to follow that today by going for dehydration. So our young person works incredibly hard, so hard that she doesn't bother to feed herself properly or to drink enough water. Also, she's a nymphomaniac, because why not? That's fun. All right. So yeah, renal system, now a very cheap option for us. If we wanted to get started hurting our patient, that would be a very prime location to begin. And I think we probably will. We can go ahead and start doing that now, I think. What does hereditary do, real quick? Circulatory and muscular. I'm not too worried about that right now. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with, let's say, let's start with the urinary incontinence. The reason being it has less severe symptoms, so she's less likely to want to go to the doctor in the first place. We could also go for nosocomophobia stage 2, and we'll go ahead and do that now. The victim is now incredibly unlikely to go to the doctor. She's only having some trouble controlling her bladder. For all she knows, she's getting a little bit excitable, okay? It's not so bad. It's not so bad. So why would she go to the doctor for that? If I just had a little bit of trouble peeing, I wouldn't go to a doctor for that, and I don't have an irrational fear of doctors. Although I could. You know, I'm not going to lie. After I had my stint in going to the hospital for my appendicitis, I have been having some health anxiety issues lately. Just like thinking about my body possibly betraying me and all these horrible things that could be happening to me at any time. And it's led to a lot of stress. It really has. But I've actually taken the liberty of becoming a bit more proactive about my health. I'm now doing some weightlifting. I am eating a lot healthier than I had before. And I feel pretty good. The anxiety stuff actually more or less went away by doing so, which has been amazing. So I'm quite happy with that. In a lot of ways, I actually have to credit BioInk for that, because I started doing kind of an assessment of myself and where I think that I'm weakest, namely my digestive, possibly my circulatory, and my nervous system are probably taking the most damage. And I'm like, well, what's possibly doing that? Let's think about risk factors. I am, in fact, a workaholic. I have a very sedentary lifestyle. And so on and so forth. My solution is, okay, well, how do I counteract that? Let's stop being sedentary. Let's start walking around. You know, things like that. By the way, one of the other advantages of the renal system is you can work very far down this stuff. And as painful as they are, they don't have very severe symptoms, and they can kind of throw the doctor off a lot. Sepsis is pretty good, because this ends up doing a lot of damage to the circulatory, digestive, and renal system. So we're going to go for that next, I think. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, BioInk has been pretty good in that way. And then I started thinking, okay, well, I can get rid of my risk factors. What other lifestyles can I change? And now I am juicing vegetables, and I'm working out. I'm sticking away from all fast food and other forms of junk food. I'm not drinking much at all. I'm not having any sugars. These are just all good things. There's more that I could do. I'd be probably better off if I slept a lot more, you know? And maybe if I had a way to do some sort of relaxation therapy, that would be really helpful, because I'm constantly under a state of stress. But, you know, all aside from that, I don't know. BioInk is actually literally changing my life, and it amazes me that I can say that with a straight face, but it actually has been kind of true. Appendicitis gave me the motivation. BioInk actually helped gave me some awareness. It's kind of cool, guys. Kind of cool. All right, so she's getting over her fears, and she is going to the doctor. Grand. Let's go ahead and grab the sepsis next. And now we have completed that tree. I am not worried about what else the doctor can cure there. And we're doing a pretty reasonable amount of damage to the digestive and circulatory systems as a result. So good. More collateral damage. We are in a septic state. Now, the one downside is I think this is going to be relatively easy for the doctor to diagnose. She is starting with the bladder diary, which, you know, of course she is. It's just sort of an obvious choice. What do we need for upgrades, by the way? Risk factors, and then 6 diseases. So one more disease and we'll be able to grab another upgrade. And of course, upgrades are king. You always want to go for those. We might want to consider going for the circulatory system next, since we know we can do a lot of collateral damage there. And there's a few different ways to kind of throw off the AI by doing so. We should note that we are unable to pick up things like a brain aneurysm. That will not be an option for us, because we cannot become a smoker. So keep those things in mind. Having risk factors locked out does make it a little bit harder as far as what you can pick up for your patient and try to kill them. Just be aware of that. Nervous system. Ah, darn it. I wanted that so bad, though. You don't know. You don't understand. I really wanted that. What do we need? 8 points. 8 points. All the upgrades cost so much more. It makes me sad, man. It makes me sad. 2 more points. 2 more points. What can we get? Renal system. Perfect. Thank you. Grab the upgrade. We're going to go for 40% harvest power. Now, we are getting kidney function tests, but haha, we did not have any kidney cysts or kidney failure. So you just wasted that. However, I totally could pick them up now, and that would totally screw with you because you just tested those and think she doesn't have them. So that's a way to mess with your AI opponent. Not that I'm going to bother with it, to be honest. I probably will continue to focus on the circulatory system. She's testing for a lot of things, but am I really that concerned about her being able to cure a UTI and sepsis before this fails? No, I'm pretty confident this is going to fail before the AI is able to cure it. So we're going to focus on other things and get as much collateral damage going as possible. We are in the emergency room. Excellent. So, I can't remember. Did we pick up better resources, or did we pick up the emergency room bonus? We're about to find out for sure. Of course, now we should keep in mind that the doctor is going to be able to diagnose things faster and for cheaper, so we're going to get a lot more of those. And yes, by the way, it appears that we are getting extra points. Glad that I ended up doing that. Couldn't remember for sure. There was a time when I expected this scenario would have a lot of free lifestyles, and I think there is a different scenario that does do that, but This is not that one. All right. So we're doing a lot of damage there. I would love to go for the arrhythmia, which would take 16 points. Keep in mind, if you're able to work down a tree faster than your AI opponent can diagnose and cure it, I mean, there's really nothing to worry about. I don't have to worry about her curing a blood clot because she doesn't have those yet. So, you know, sometimes it's worth just sticking to a single tree and going all the way down the list, because you don't have to worry about trying to maintain 2 different trees at the same time. It's tempting to go for all the cheap stuff, like the blood clots, really early on. But not doing that has its own rewards. Also, do keep in mind, though, that the more you focus on this kind of stuff far down the tree, and the more that a doctor is able to cure, the very far end of tree diseases tend to be worth a lot of recovery progress. So there's a good chance that the AI could cure us if we are not careful. All the more reason that we need to outrace the opponent. Let's go for a heart attack. The other good thing you can count on, though, is that the AI does tend to focus gradually down the trees. Rarely do they seem to start at the end and work their way back, which is what you would do if you were playing in the life campaign, but the death campaign, they're not so smart. So that's nice. 10 points, and we can get an extra set of points, which gives me a lot more gas to try and outrace our AI opponent. Oh, there it is, actually. Perfect. We'll grab that. So she's cured her renal system, but it doesn't matter because it's already fallen apart. Now we can just focus exclusively on the circulatory system, try to get as much collateral damage as possible. Yes, you did a kidney transplant. Good for you, but it is still taking damage. Joke's on you. Joke is indeed on you. All right, let's focus on getting the blood clots, and then if I want to go for a stroke for 22 points, that would be pretty nice because that gives you a lot of damage. A lot of potential damage to the nervous system and stuff like that. Exercise electrocardiogram. She's going to detect... Sorry, I keep saying she as if it's a female doctor. They are going to detect the heart attack, which is unfortunate because they are going to they're going to cure that pretty quickly. Generic medications is good. That means less effective treatments, I think. Oh no, I'm sorry. Angina is what was detected, not the heart attack. That is something else entirely. But we are still in the emergency room, which means extra points. Come on, please give me a bit more. This should be enough for the stroke that I am looking for. 65% recovery. We do need to be careful about this. Let's go for the stroke and the deep vein thrombosis. If I went for something else like post-phlebitic syndrome, that would do a lot of extra damage to the muscular system, which has some damage here. I need something to fail so that the other cascades. So if we can finish off the circulatory system and then the renal system finishes off, that would be great. That's still quite likely to happen. We should be able to pick up the post-phlebitic syndrome now, so let's go ahead and do that. Extra muscular damage on the way. Come on. I know you're trying to hydrate, but you're not going to be able to overcome the failed circulatory system. Wahaha! And now both are out, and we cannot do another transplant on the renal system, so the AI is just stuck with that, which means now everything is going to start collapsing. The nervous system, in particular, will start taking a lot more damage, but we can throw off the AI if we go for things like chronic stress, which does damage to pretty much everything. And by pretty much, I don't actually mean everything, just a pretty good amount, though. But now we have to focus a lot on the nervous system and try to outrun the AI before that gets cured, because chronic stress is relatively quick and easy to cure. Now, nervous breakdown's good. If we went for burnout, the thing is, one test I know would diagnose both of these. So maybe we want to go down dementia instead, to force the AI to do 3 diagnostic tests instead of 2. But now the nervous system is taking a pretty hefty amount of damage. I'm not especially worried about that either. We may want to focus on either the digestive or the muscular system and force them to burn out a lot faster. Arrhythmia is being cured. The AI is still concerned about curing the circulatory system, even though it has already failed. It might be preparing... Whoa, that is expensive. It might be preparing for some sort of a heart transplant, which would be a problem for me. I'm a little concerned that when the arrhythmia gets cured, we're going to be really close to the end of our recovery progress. Good news is we now have finished off a 3rd system. 93% is not enough, though. Now 94. We need to finish this off somehow. Let's go for the fibromyalgia. We are doing a lot of damage to that muscular system. Everything should be starting to fail. And as long as she can't cure one more disease, we're going to win this one. So this one actually was a little close to the wire in the recovery, which makes me uncomfortable. I'm not especially happy with that. It means that I probably could have been faster or better in some way. But also keep in mind, this is one of the scenarios that denies you from getting those risk factors, which is how you would be able to prime your victim before she goes to the doctor. right? You want to get as many risk factors as possible, then start evolving the diseases. We were forbidden from doing that, which means she had to go to the doctor pretty early on. That's why I went for the nosocoma phobatoria, or whatever the Dr. Fear is. I forgot how it's pronounced already. The Dr. Fear, in order to try and offset that disadvantage that we already had. And it seems to have worked out. Could have been better. 5,300 points is okay, not great. But at least we have succeeded. We have finished off the morgue stage in the death campaign. Next, we will move on to, I don't remember what it's called. Is it the graveyard? Okay, we're going to start with people who are already dead. That makes sense. All right, we'll come back to that later. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed. I will be back from my vacation next week, so we will continue as usual. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.